Hi everyone, this is Costa again, and you're listening to a bunch of blank paper. It's been a fascinating week. I hope everyone had a good time. I know the COVID thing is not that good, but yeah, okay, we can try to get along with that by writing, watching movies, doing the things we love, getting a bit of sleep, and more sleep. So, yeah, we talked last week about Synecdoche, New York. It was the first part of the film analysis I was doing. I won't actually say it's a film analysis more than a philosophical analysis of everything that he's trying to put on the table there. As I said, of course, it's a different experience for everyone, and of course, it's a different experience for everyone in a different period of his life. So these are the main things we said. It's the concept of time. As you're growing up, the same experience, you will never have the same experience with this film as you had when you were younger, for sure. And I told you again that it's up to you to, interpret it the way you want and live your life the way you want to live your life. So we were talking about all the things. I assume you're in the second part because you already heard the first one. So we were talking about the concept of time, and we were talking about the theme of death. There is a funny incident in the film, actually, when you hear in the TV, an actually true story. Actually, you're not. Yeah, he's reading. Kaden is reading to Adele some news about a person that died, but then immediately he says he won the Nobel Prize. So this incident is true, is real. So it happened in a live broadcast, I think on BBC. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I can try to find it and tell you what it is, but that's not the point. I mean, this is also in the concept of misunderstanding and that actually this can happen everywhere. So you see it in the main news of a major network happening. So they say about a person that died and then immediately said, won the Nobel Prize. So yeah, if you pay close to this attention to these details, you will understand that this is in the whole concept of the paradox of life, and also the fact that we are unable to communicate, which is, I told you again, it's one of the main themes of the film, the miscommunication as well. Yeah, we're talking about these things and how they deal with each other and how they deal with Olive and all this stuff. There is something that happens throughout the film that you can see that this reflects on this incident also. I mean, many incidents, but this is also one other clue that he gives you about how we're dealing with our lives. If we make things bigger or if we make them smaller, if we try to play down bigger incidents, or if we try to make huge deal out of small things. So throughout the movie, Kaden is trying to direct his theatrical piece, right? So he, as you see, the more the story goes on, the more the years pass by, with the way that I told you, because they're passing by really fast. Kaden is the one that makes a theater production that is so huge, like the problems of his life, like the problems that he thinks he has in his life. Of course, he has problems in his life, but they're not that big. So the theatrical piece he's creating, and as soon as he receives the MacArthur Award, he starts making this play, which he doesn't know in the beginning what it is, and then he realizes that this is going to be part of his life. That it's, the theatrical play is going to be played by actors who play actors who play actors, and it's going to be a real life thing. So it will be alive and it will go on as his life goes on. But they never have a premiere or something like that. But the point that I want to make out here is that his theatrical piece, the more time passes by, years actually, lots of years, there is actually a scene that the person from the cast says, "It's already 17 years, when are we going to have an audience?" So the more the play goes on, the rehearsals and everything, his theatrical piece becomes bigger. Like his problems, it becomes huge. So he's also putting this thing on his work. So you see it there because Kaufman wants to show us that the more we just have a tendency of making things more serious than what they are, the more they become a burden and the more they grow up. On the other hand, Adele, when she moves to Berlin with Olive to have a life with her and Maria, we see the exhibition that she made in Berlin, and her work becomes smaller. So that's the opposite direction of Karin in terms of how she deals with problems in life. So she have a tendency of making them smaller. And of course, we said she died out of cancer in the end, but we don't know. Like I said in the previous episode, which one is happier? Which one lived the happier life? Being unaware of things that might happen to them, medical issues and stuff, and playing them down like Adele, or like Kaden, who takes something small and make it huge, and he tries to be on top of every problem, and he also creates problems because he's also a hypochondriac, as we said. So it's a matter of dealing with your problems with coolness and relaxation. Be happy whatever the outcome, or I don't know, if you're sad, it's okay. You say, okay, that's life, and I move on, or you just become Kaden. And Charlie Kaufman also deals with innocence, as we said in the previous episode, that, he's thinking that, the reality is that the younger you are, the less problems you have. So this also reflects in Olive, because Olive is the tree in his life. It's the pureness and kindness, and, you're not thinking about death when you're that young. So that's why Olive, when they're in the car and he's trying to explain to Olive the pipes that the plumber has to make. So he's making a reference, the pipes with the veins of the human body, and it says about blood, and there she becomes freaked out. She's freaking out. Olive says, no blood, I don't want blood, I don't want blood. So it's like she's denying to grow up, denying to know about these problems, about death and blood and stuff. And in the same scene, you see Adele trying to again play this thing down. Are you crazy? What are you saying? And so, Kaden says, I just want to explain to her how the plumbing system works and stuff. But in reality, she just wanted to explain to his daughter how life is, while Adele wanted to let her just find out how life is. So these are two completely opposite characters, as we said, and opposite ways of dealing with some problems. Dealing with the problems and talking to them, to your, very young daughter about. So it's a completely different way of describing life. Now, we had also, for the misunderstanding of things, because we see it all the time, there is one moment that Kaden is looking at his stool in the toilet to see if he has blood. We can clearly see that there's no blood in the stool. That actually doesn't matter. What matters is that he didn't see anything, but he went to Adele and said, like really phased out, he said, there's blood on my stool. And we see the miscommunication thing also there, because Adele says there's a stool at your office. So there we see also the miscommunication. But what we can see in terms of the hypochondriac phase and part of Kaden is that when he actually goes to the atelier that Adele has to paint, and she's there with Olive, he starts peeing on the sink, and he's really peeing like a brown color pee or something, and he doesn't give a fuck. I mean, he doesn't even care. He looks at the pee that is brown, and he doesn't care, and he just goes regularly to Adele and says, I don't remember the line there, but he wasn't paying attention to the problems of his marriage, actually, because he's it's like he doesn't see this thing, which is very serious. Peeing brown liquid is not that good of a sign, right? And immediately he goes to Adele and talks to her like nothing is happening. And he tells her for the premiere, and she says, I'm not coming, I have work. So that's actually the way of Charlie Kaufman telling you that if you look, what I said, if you're in an everyday situation you stop paying attention. So this is what he says also here. The problem is in front of you, and you're not paying attention. So you're not paying attention, so you don't see that you're urinating brown liquid. You don't see that Adele is about to leave you and stuff like that. Okay, so I said also on the previous episode about the role of television. So yeah, you have to. That's another episode to analyze everything that's happening in the television. But you can see also in his new film, I'm thinking about ending things, how he's using also the cartoon in the beginning, because there's also something being said there. But he's using again a cartoon. In order to convey these things that he wants to say about the characters. Nice coffee. So, there is a scene in the cartoon, for example, in the film, that there's a wolf next to a carcass and waiting for something. So, Caden has a smoke there. The smoke goes up, and there's the smoke becomes a clock, a shape of a clock. So, this whole thing, just in 5 seconds, can show you that the wolf is waiting just about him to die. So because there's a carcass there are some flies also, I think. It's like a rotten thing. But the wolf is there patiently just waiting. And he is actually smoking, and the smoke becomes a clock. The smoke of the cigarette becomes a clock. So yeah, that's the thing that, of course I'm waiting for you to die. Same routine all over again, as I told you in the previous episode. Like, I have arthritis, I have blood on my stool, I have everything, blah, blah, blah. So everything is going on there. I will talk about Sam in a bit, but Sam is a very interesting character as well. Sam is the one that actually plays Caden after in the theater play. What's interesting about Sam is that the moment he goes to do the cast, and he says to Caden that, listen, I've been watching you for the last 20 years. What's interesting here is that he's not watching him for the whole of his life. So if this was happening, we could say easily that he's a kind of a god, or a kind of an energy, something like the big electron, like George Carlin used to say, the big electron, that, but the like the sun, if you personify the sun and you make it like a god, and whatever, you always say in every kind of religion that he's there watching you all the time, he's there caring for you, he's there, I don't know, but you always say that, by the way, it's always a he, I don't know why. Yeah, if it was a woman, like George Carlin said, things wouldn't be that fucked up for sure. But yeah, the concept of being there for the last 20 years of your life, and he's everywhere. If you watch closely, he's everywhere. He's in the first scene where he takes out the trash, he's behind the tree, and then when he's talking to Hazel, he's also there behind the tree. When he's at the funeral with Claire, he's behind them and just puts his head down to listen to what they say. So yeah, he's a kind of a god, his own god, but he's there for the last 20 years. That actually are the years that his life went completely fucked. So this I cannot interpret it 100%. I mean, if it was for the whole of his life, I would say that he's his own god. But it could be that it's his how can I say that? It's his way of expressing that he has a real self that actually listens to these problems, but it's not, his real self is not able to come out. And this can be also justified if you see the scene that actually Sammy commits suicide in the theater play while they were rehearsing, because this is what Caden was doing, but he was saved by a waiter. So remember this scene when he saw the happiness of Hazel and his husband and the 3 kids that she has on the terrace of a cafe. He goes out and he tries to jump off a building, and then a waiter takes him down. That's actually a critical point now that I'm saying it, because there is a possibility that he's not alive, that Caden is not alive until the end, that actually that's the point that he died, But we don't know this, and this is another way of Kaufman to play with your mind, play with your brain, pick up your brain, and tell you that, listen, you might have the Cotard syndrome, that you're alive, and you're thinking always that you're dead. You might as well be dead. You might as well be alive, but not paying attention to things that are going around. All these questions that Kaufman has, he throws them on the table, and it's up to you to decide, as I told you, which way you want to go, or which way you want to take this, the route of the film. So for me, personally, I think that Caden is dead. For me, I mean, in 5 years, I might say he's not. But from the moment we see him trying to commit suicide, everything goes more fucked up and even more dreamlike, like Kaufman said. Sorry. Kaufman said that I want to make it to be a dreamlike reality. So then we see everything going completely crazy, completely crazy, like they weren't going. But it goes completely meta. The film goes completely meta after that. There's a possibility he's alive, of course. There's a possibility that he's dead. But the main point is that he wants to show to everyone that even being alive might as well feel like being dead. And we see that in every aspect of his life. Okay? Very good. So, I said about the concept of us showing less of ourselves to other people in order to be compatible and win them over. That's happening also when Adele was packing her stuff. The more you know someone, the more you get disappointed from them. And, it's something that's really sad, but you see it all the time in your life, and that's crazy. There are also some there are exceptions for sure, but the more you know someone, the more you meet them, the more you go on with the lives with them, at some point, you will get disappointed from them, and they will get disappointed from you. So, yeah. I think there was a scene also, actually, Charlie Kaufman was very actively doing the soundtrack as well. And it's really important that you listen to the soundtrack. You just go and buy the soundtrack, or on Spotify or whatever. Just listen to the soundtrack, because the lyrics we hear throughout the film, playing in the background, they're immediately connected to the movie. There is a song that says "No one would ever love you," that connects to these things that I told you. And there are many, many, many other examples of the soundtrack. The more I go with the episode, I will remember more and I will tell you. So, cartoon. We said about the television. There is also a scene that the Kaden is moved in the corral, and he's carried by a cow and a sheep. And then there is a thing, that's a sign there that says stockyard. So, carried by a cow and a sheep is all symbolic. It's like the sheep amongst the wolves. It's like the cow. I have actually not a clue what this could mean, but the sheep could mean that. I think the most important stuff we have to keep from this scene is that the livestock is where they keep all the animals before they slaughter them. So actually, this also enhances the whole thing when they are pulling him and we see a graveyard there. So there are even more signs the more the movie goes on that he's dead. But, again, I told you it's not a 100% interpretation. This is what I think, all right? Now, he has an obsession with cleaning. That's also happening I'm thinking of Ending Things. Sorry, I'm always mixing it with, I'm not okay with this because they have both I am. Yeah, I'm thinking of Ending Things. I'm not going to tell you something, a spoiler, because maybe you didn't see it. Of course, it came out yesterday, but came out 2 days ago. But I'm going to tell you about this film that he's, from a point on, he starts to clean all the time. And cleaning, being active and doing work keeps you out of your worries and sadness. And I'm sure you saw that sometime in your life when you had a breakup or something. Yeah, when you had a breakup in your life, the more occupied you were, the more easier the breakup goes through, the sadness, the whole thing. So, Caden does that by cleaning. So he cleans like crazy. He cleans like hell. All the time you see him cleaning and more cleaning, more cleaning. The TV plays his death, but he's more in cleaning, more in cleaning. So this is a way of getting out. This is a way of being free. This is a way of being, in salvation. So only the moment he stops cleaning, if you see him, he sits down on the floor, and the moment he stops cleaning, then it's exactly that moment when he starts paying attention to something that's happening in his foot. So there's some small, how do you say them, like blisters or bumps, something like that. So whenever you are not thinking of something, whenever you're standing still, or if it's in the end of the night where your logical mind is completely 100% there and it unloads all the shit and the crap you have in your life, that's the moments when you're standing still that you're thinking about death. But when you're occupied and doing other stuff, you're not thinking about death. I told you again that there's another exception. When you're having sex, you're not thinking about death. I mean, at least the majority of the people, I think. And the majority of the people that I've talked with, my friends, everybody's experience is like that. That it's, it's one of the moments that I'm not thinking about death. But let's stick to the character. Putting a character like that there, putting him constantly occupied with cleaning also reflects to Charlie Kaufman, because, whatever we write as writers, we are there. By any amount, could be 1% of us there, could be 10% of us there, could be 100% of us there. It doesn't matter, but we are being there. We are there. The more truthful we are, the more we are there, present. So Charlie Kaufman is 100% in this film. He is in there. So if we look closely, we will understand that Charlie Kaufman really afraid of dying, really is afraid of dying, and this is the way of him showing it through Caden. Okay. I would make, I told you, a whole episode about the television, but you can, if you just eliminate the cartoon themes that are going on the TV, it's crazy, because he shows the whole life of Caden, the whole life of Kaufman, actually, how he thinks he's drowning in the problems, how he thinks he's drowning in the thought of dying, So it's really interesting to see that. There is a line there that it goes like this. He says, "You're going down and you fell and you died," I think something like that. Or you're going down, you fell, you're dead, something like that. But you understand the meaning. So you're going down and you fell and you died. So it couldn't be more clear than that Charlie Kaufman has this thinking in his mind all the time, like all of us, most of us have. And he tries to show us. Now, the therapist is another important person, because the therapist is a person that we go and talk about our problems, but we see that the therapist has also problems. So this is something that I never understood with the therapists, how it's going on. How can a therapist be a better, more qualified person to help another person than a very good friend, an honest friend that you can actually open up your heart and mind? Anyway, I think that the therapists are there to put you back in a society that is already fucked up. So for me, therapists shouldn't exist. Actually, if you didn't have these problems about thinking about death, and if the society wasn't that fucked up, then Salo wouldn't make the 120 days of sodomy, and then, therapists wouldn't exist. So exactly the reason why therapists are actually a profession, they exist, is this kind of things that we have in our brains, some constant problems about facts in life, like in The Lobster by Yorgos Lanthimos, there is a scene that I think Olivia Colman says that when the couple, I don't know if you've seen The Lobster, but there's a couple with actually achieving to become a couple, and they have to go to a boat. But what's important, she says there, that if you have a problem in your marriage, you will be assigned kids. You will be assigned children. Children are good for for the merids. They can save the merids. So yeah, the therapist also has. She's not perfect, you see that she's trying to get affection by, get something out of that with Caden so that she likes him. And then in the airplane, he reads the book that she wrote, and she's next to him talking about this book. And then in the end, it says, yeah, but then you denied, so this book is over. And then we see the empty pages. So that means that whenever we are just not proceeding with some relationship in our life, and when we don't have anything with the other person, then there's a blank page, blank papers that are waiting to be written. So it's an incomplete love, incomplete whatever, but it's incomplete. It says this book is over, and then he just turns the pages. Even then, he cannot understand what the book was about, even at that point. So we have the first clue of the Anima Animus of Carl Jung when Adele refers to him as Ellen. When he's calling, he said, hey, Ellen, I cannot hear you, I'm in a party. And he has a seizure, and he's making a call in 911, and it's 911, right? Oh, that was a great... That's dangerous. 911. 911. He calls 911. He has a seizure, and the response, the woman that picked up, refers to him as a madam, ma'am. He says, ma'am. So from that point on, everyone is referring to him as Helen. So we can see actually the double nature that we have. That actually Carl Jung was saying while describing Anima and Animus. And this is his female part that he never actually accepted that he has. And, our minds are completely programmed from the moment that we are born to tell us what we are. It's not that we are becoming homosexuals and we are becoming something else. We are programmed like that. It cannot be changed. It's like you have, a program in your computer. You cannot hack that program and put another operating system. I mean, you can do it, but it will not work properly anyway. You understand the point? All human mind, all the human bodies and the brain is actually programming us. And by this programming, we are also adjusting our behavior towards society and towards ourselves. But, what Carl Jung used to say, and we see it definitely evident in Caden's life, is that we see his unconscious feminine side going on when he starts becoming Helen. So it's actually Anima Animus is like the unconscious masculine side of a woman, and that's the Animus, I think. Yeah, that's the Animus, and the Anima is the unconscious feminine side of a man. So that's actually what makes the personal psyche of a person. So this is what happens to Caden. He's transforming to a woman, so his unconscious mind becomes a woman, and he's Helen. About Helen, there are some things we can say more about Helen, but that comes afterwards, when Helen is actually being played by the maid, which is also a point that we can see, that a cleaning lady becomes Helen, and he's also cleaning. So this is another point that he wants to show us what's going on. So Adele was treating him like shit because she said she loved him, but she never loved him. We said these things. He's trying to make a theater play like for 30 years or something, 20 years or something, and he cannot achieve it. While on the other hand, he always sees the photos in the magazine of Adele saying, when I look, I see. When I see, I paint. It's that simple. So he tries to show to us and Caden that, if you want to make art, you just do that, and that's it. It's so simple. Just stop worrying about it. Stop thinking about it. Just put yourself 100% on the page and whatever you're doing, and it's gonna happen. And he also wants to see he also wants to show how he's not successful, let's say, in doing that in comparison with Adele, because Adele is having a great life in Berlin. She's everywhere. She's like the big thing in Berlin and blah blah blah. While he won the MacArthur Prize, but he cannot do anything about it. So yeah. Now, when he meets Hazel and when they go back to his place, of course, we see again Sammy there. He's in the back. When they go to her place, there is a song again in the background. So you hear, "I know you're the one I've waited for," something like that. I want you to beg me on your knees and ask for a kiss. And will you help me get better? So this is actually what he says. He's singing through the soundtrack, and Hazel actually says the same thing. Just kneel down and ask for it. Ask for a kiss, So they cannot complete their relationship. So this is the concept of incomplete love, and this is the concept of not being able to complete something that you really, really like because something is missing. It's always that problem. It's always that something is missing, something is not there. Even when he likes Hazel, from the first moment they exchange glance, the first moment we saw them exchanging glances in the theater on the foyer of the theater when he goes out to make a phone call. Actually, that's another point for the connection, because he says, I'm going out to take a phone call because there's no connection. There's no reception, something like that. I don't remember. But he plays again with the words because he says there's good connection here. And she meant between them. But literally, it's like there's a good reception for the phone, So, and there they exchange glances. And this is the first time we see them looking at each other in a different way. And I think it's the first time also we see Hazel. So for us as audience, it's the first time we see these two together. So there are many more things that we can say about this film, and I want to say more. I will analyze the characters very intensively on the next episode. So for today, this is what I wanted to say. Yeah, another thing that I can say in this episode is about the misunderstanding and the therapist that I told you. They are not going to be together. Of course, she likes him. He doesn't. He's there to say his problems. The book is not finished, so this will not be completed. But one important thing is very important to actually make my case stronger that he's dead. When they're talking in the office at one point, when they're sitting both in the couch, and she puts her leg up with showing her thigh and blah blah blah. She's very hot, by the way. So there is this concept there that actually he uses in every film he makes. There is a concept there of not letting the other person finish. And this probably happens a lot in his life as well. And this is something that actors don't do. It's like there is action, there is reaction. You have to hear what they say and then go. And there are some directors that interrupt others. But you see that he's starting to talk. And she's talking before he even starts. It's like he's saying one word and then she starts talking. And she interrupts him all the time. And this is the point that I wanted to point out. They were talking about this 40-year-old that made a play. So he's making actually a point there. She's making a point there that even a 4-year-old can make a play and then commit suicide. And when he was 5, he died. Madeline says to him, the therapist says to him, that kid killed himself when he was 5. And Kaden asks, why did he kill himself? And she says to him, I don't know, why did you? But she said it really fast. Why did you? And he says, what? And then Madeline rephrases and says, I said, why would you? So that's also another point that shows us in the way that, there is a possibility that he did it actually. He died. and or it's just Charlie Kaufman plays with her mind back and forth just because. But I think, yeah, both could be right, both could be wrong. It doesn't matter. It's up to you how to interpret things when it comes to stuff like that. So this was the second part. I tried to keep it small because I want you to really focus on the things that are going on and the things that are happening on this film. So I made this a smaller part so you can actually watch the film again, think about the things I said, and I know they might not be 100% accurate, but this is just a small guide to help you go through the film as it helped me. Of course, I'm not playing, I'm not pretending to be a wise guy. I had a lot of research when I saw the film, and a lot of continuous watching the film so many times that I managed to get an idea of what he's trying to say. Because by looking also to his other films, you understand that this is the way that Charlie Kaufman thinks, and he has a very unique way of saying things. I would not compare, but I would put him in the same level with as David Lynch, because he's the one also that does this thing with your brain. He picks your brain up. He said, there's a highway, and you make the exits and just go there. I just made the highway. So yeah, this is what Charlie Kaufman does, and I love that when he's picking your brain. I love that. So thank you very much for listening. My website is www.costakalogiros.com. You can go there and check my movies, my stuff, the stuff that I'm doing, and there are also workshops, great workshops going on now. There's a new one, Write Your Feature Film in 8 weeks, so it's a great thing. Check us out, and thank you very much for being with me. And next week, probably Wednesday, the third and last part of this big analysis of Synecdoche New York will come to an end. Thank you very much. Be safe. Peace, love, and understanding. Ciao.